Okay, we'll start with another type of statement, which are the jump statements. So what are the jump statements? So they are used to control the flow of execution within a program by transferring control to another part of a code. We have seen the example of a lift and apartment, right? So where the code execution will not be always linear, right? So there are three main jump statements: break, continue, and return. So we'll discuss about break. So the break is used to exit or terminate a loop. So what are the type of loops that we studied? Right. It is used to exit or terminate a loop prematurely. Right. For example, in for, while, do while, and also break is used in a switch statements. We have seen break and switch statements, right? Like this. So what do we mean by terminating a loop prematurely? When does the loop terminate maturely? When the condition hits. But if we don't want that condition to be failed, or before failing the condition and all, if we want to exit the loop using break, we have an option to exit the loop. So whenever the break condition or statement comes, the code immediately exits the innermost loop or switch statement in which it is used. So what do we mean by innermost loop? What do you mean by innermost? Like if we are talking about innermost, there would be some outer. It means this is a nested loops with some outer, inner, and whatever, right? So what it is saying is, so whatever loop, any inner, whatever is the innermost loop, the break statement will terminate from that loop. Let's take an example. So how many loops does it have? This is one outer loop. Okay. Here there is again an inner loop. There are two loops. So now what it will do is, it will come here, I equal to 1, 1 is less than equal to 3, yes. It will print outer loop iteration, okay. Now it will come to this loop where j is equal to 1, j less than equal to 5, yes. It will print inner loop iteration, and then it will check j equal to 3, then it will break. So now tell me what should be the output of this, what it is trying to do. What it is doing here? Yes, there are two loops, so two conditions, but here we have a break. So whenever j becomes 3, it will break, and where it will go? I, to the outer loop, right? Here we'll debug it, you'll understand. See, I equal to 1, it will, the condition is, it will satisfy outer loop iteration, it will print 1. Now it will go to this inner loop, it will print j is 1, inner loop iteration 1, right? Is j equal to 3? No. Now where will it go? It will go to outer loop. Where will it go now? In the inner loop. Yes. Why? Because this condition is less than equal to 5. It will go to this loop, it will check, okay, 2 is less than equal to 5, yes. It will again print 2. Is 2 equal to 3? Yes. No. No. It will again print the outer loop, it will again go to this inner loop. Now j, value of j is 3. Now is this true? It is break, it will break. Where will it go now? Outer loop. It will go here. Now value of I is 2. Now it again go to inner loop. It will again print till j is 3, and then it will go to outer loop. And when outer loop will break, when it is 4, when it will become 4, this condition will become false, and then it will break. If you see, outer loop iteration is 1, then inner loop iteration, then outer loop iteration 2, then again for 3 times inner loop iteration will run, and outer loop iteration 3, then again for 3 times inner loop iteration will work. Where? Here? Huh? It doesn't matter. See, this break statement now, it matters only to the innermost loop where this statement is there. It doesn't matter what's the condition. If there is a break, so whatever innermost loop is there, it will break that loop. So we were saying, let's suppose now this j equal to 1, it will break. Now where will it grow? Where will it go? Here or here? Where? This inner loop terminates here. This is the block of inner loop. Now we have got break from the inner loop. Where will it go? The code here or here? System.out. So it will terminate, or it will go out of this innermost loop. So we have seen whenever a loop terminates, it goes to the next statement which is outside that loop. The next first statement, whatever is there outside the loop, the control will go there. Any doubt? So this break, right? So what do you think it will do? It will exit from this loop when it gets false. No, when it gets true. It's the if statement, right? In the if, when the block is executed in the if, and the condition is true. So here when j will become 1, it will execute this break statement, and we have studied what break does. It exits from the innermost loop. Here there are 2 loops. So what's the innermost loop to this break? This one, right? Yes or no? Come on, if you have any doubt, ask. So whenever a loop is terminated, what is the next statement which is executed? In this case, if this for loop is terminated, what would be the next statement that will execute? Not out. Now this break, it will terminate this inner loop, or whatever the for loop, or whatever is the for loop is there, where this break is there, it will break that loop. Any doubt? So let's suppose if I have one more for loop here. How many loops I have now? 3. Let's suppose my code is in line number 15. It is break. Now after break, what line will be executed? 20 or 22? Huh? 20? How many 22? 20, right? And if a break is there, line number 21, what where the code will go, which line? How many 24? 24? Why? Which for loop it will break? This code is in which for loop? This one or this one? This code is in the for loop which is at line number 14, or is it is in the for loop which is at line number 11? 11? So what for loop it will break? Which one? 11 or 14? Okay, it will break 11. Then where will it go? This for loop is still here. Where will it go? 26? Yes or no? Perfect. So now we have already studied about the break in the switch case, where it will also be exiting from the loop of the switch where the break is present. Because there could be a nested switch also, and if the break is there in the innermost switch, the break will terminate only that switch where this break has, right? We'll go through this example. You can go through this example. Now let's take this example. Tell me the answer. Here, this break. So break will also terminates the while loop. Okay. After getting a break here, where the code will go? At which line? 15? Yes? Perfect. And for the do while loop, if we will get the break here, where the which statement will be executed? What line number will be executed? Yes? Huh? 15? Right? It will terminate this do while block, and the next statement is line number 15, so it will execute this 15. Now there is one more concept called break label. So normally we don't use a label, but for your clarity, or we will cover this concept quickly. Please note, in our code or in the production or anything, we don't use label anymore, right? Because it is very cumbersome to maintain such code. But since Java supports it, we'll study. So we have seen break allows to exit a loop prematurely, but we have seen that when there are nested loops, it only exits the innermost loop, right? But what if we want to exit the outermost loop? So to do this, there is a option where called break with label or break label, which allows to exit from an outer loop within an inner loop. Okay. So what is the syntax? Syntax would be this: label name colon. That's how you will declare a label. Now let's take an example. Now tell me, if we have studied if this break is here, what line will be executed? For this break, what line will be executed? 19th. But what if I got a break here in this loop, I want to get out of this outer loop also. Is it possible with this? No. So what Java provides is, it provides break with label, where what we are doing is we are declaring a label for the outer loop. So before this outer loop, we have declared a label called outer loop colon. It's a label declaration, and if we want to get out of this outer loop, what we'll write? Break outer loop. Now let's debug and see what will happen if we break it from here. I got this break here in the inner loop. Let's see where the control goes. It goes outside this for loop, outside this outer loop. So that's what the concept of outer loop is. So labels are identifiers which are followed by a colon, and they are placed before the loop declaration. So when we use a break statement with a label, so the label, what it specifies is the loop, what loop we want to break, and the label must be a valid Java identifier, and it should be unique within the scope where it is used. So it provides a way to break out of nested loops. Okay, but it will make a code very harder to understand if we use it a lot. So that's why use it very judiciously, and if there are no alternates and we can't design our code to avoid using it, only use in that case. Okay, now there is again another jump statement called continue. So what continue does it? It is used to skip the remaining code within a loop iteration and then proceed to the next iteration of the loop. So what does it mean? Skip. Is it same as break? Why? And continue? Just skip. It just skips the certain iteration of a loop based on some conditions without exiting the loop entirely. That you have correctly said. That's the difference of continue and break. So in a while and do while loops, continue causes control to be transferred to the conditional expression. So in for loop, in a for loop, if we use a continue, so the control goes to the loop's update statement, right? But in do while and do while loop, where the code where the control will go? In the do while and while loop, where the control will go with the continue? You have said, right? After iteration, what comes in a while and do while loop? What is executed after the iteration in a while and do while loop? Condition. But in for loop, what is executed after the iteration? After the code block is executed, what is executed? After the iteration, where the control will go? Increment. That section was update. Whatever updates we have to do, increment, decrement, the control will go there. So that will happen with the continue. So let's take an example. So here what this code is doing, quickly tell me. Read it. What it will print? Very good. So using this condition, if I equal to 3, it has continued. So what it has skipped? Skipped what? If I'll get 3, I'll get continue, and then what will be skipped? What is skipped here? A count is 3, but what is skipped? Iteration. Like no, you are in the iteration, right? Now you got 3, it becomes true, you got a continue. Then after this continue, what will be the next statement which will be executed? This update, right? What I'm saying is it is skipping this statement, line number 11, or all the statements which are there after line number 11, right? It will skip all those things, and after getting continue, it will go to this update. And after update, where will it go? No. After update, what happens in for loop? Condition. So if I equal to 3, it is not printing the count. That's why if you run it, you will see it is not printed count 3. Okay. And in a while loop, what will happen in the while loop? What will happen? Come on. Or it will skip when I is 3. Think what statements are skipped? Line number 13. Whatever is there at line number 13 and after that it will be skipped. So it will skip printing this count 3. And here in the while loop, after this continue, what will happen? It will go to update condition. No, here condition, and then in the next statement is update. Do while loop. Now tell me, here I is 0, I will become 1. It will print count 1. Then I2, count 2. Then I3. If I is 3, where the code will go now? Back to this 8, 9 or this? What it? Will go to this condition. So please don't confuse that okay it is at bottom so it won't go here, it will directly go to this. No, it will go to this condition. And also in for each also we have studied where the control will go after this continue. Back to the assigning a number, assigning the next value of array to this number, right? So if you run it, it will print 1 2, it will skip 3. Now in the next, after getting continue, it will assign 4 to this number and it will print 4. And the last statement, return. What returns? We used return in the method. What it is used for? To return? Exactly, to return any result. If we don't want to return anything, what did we use? Void. So return statement is used to return a value from a method or exit a method without returning a value. It allows the method to pass data back to the caller or terminates its execution prematurely. What do you mean that terminate the execution prematurely for the method? Come on. How? Now what will happen here? Only 1 2 will be printed. Why? It is exited from this method itself. It is when it got 3, it completely exited from this main method. That's why the next iterations of for loop as well as any print statements were not executed. Continue. After what? No, it won't work. Unreachable code. Once you return, it will never come to this line number 11. As soon as it comes to line number 10, it sees return, it will go outside this method itself. That's why if you use continue or anything after this, it will say unreachable code. So that's the purpose of the return. It exits from any method. Okay. So a method can have multiple return statements, each returning a different value based on different conditions. So the syntax is return, and we can use any of the expression. So return can be of two types, where it is returning any value, and such methods will have a non-void return type. Let's suppose if a method is returning int, what this method will have in the return type? What method will have in the return type? No, suppose I have to declare a method addition int a int b. I have to do return a plus b. It is failing, return type is missing. We have to mention some return type here. What should be the return type here? Int. Because it is returning int value, some expression it has returned whose type would be int, because addition of two ints will give you int. That's why you have to mention this int. So return type can be of two types, whether it returns any value or it is returning void, no value, right? So the here if it is returning any value, the expression evaluates to the value that the method will return, and the data type of the expression must match with the return type specified in the method declaration, right? If it is evaluated to int, I should use int here. Let's suppose will it work? Why? Return type is int, but what we are returning here? Double. We are returning here double. So see, cannot convert from double to int. How to fix it? What are the different ways we can fix it? Very good. What else? If I don't want to lose any value. Awesome. Change the return type, right? The double. So if it is returning void, it means the method return type would be void. Okay. So here we have taken this example. In the void, it doesn't return anything. If you check here, main, here this main doesn't have any return. Why? We are not seeing any return here. Huh? Because its return type is void. If the method's return type is void, it does not need to explicitly say like this. Even if you specify it, it's fine, but even if you don't specify, it is also fine. So when this method is completely executed, it will automatically will exit with none return type. And when should we use return here? When we want to prematurely or on some condition we want to exit this method. Like we saw, when number equal to 3, we want to return it. We don't want to now process anything in this method. We'll use return here. Okay. So that's all for the return type. Any questions?